Hey, Sammy. You were a great cooperator. Besides John, how many other trials did the government have you testify in?
When I made my deal, I cooperated for 2 years, however many cases, what?
Okay, go ahead.
However many cases they would indict in those 2 years. And I made a deal with them that I would only cooperate, I wouldn't cooperate against my family, my crew, I ordered them to go, and a woman. They said, we won't indict them in that 2-year period. We know about their crimes. We'll agree to that. And after the 2 years, you're on your own. You do what you want. If people will be gone, if people want you to cooperate, it's up to you what you do. I didn't cooperate against nobody after my deal. Just within my deal. And they didn't cooperate anybody in my family, anybody in my crew, or that woman. Till today, she never got indicted.
Donnie says, I'm going to cooperate.
Who?
Donnie, in your super chat. He said, I'm going to cooperate too.
All right.
JB Weld, do you remember a captain in the family named Natalie Riccini, a.k.a. Big Chris? He looks like a rough guy. Do you have any stories?
I know who he is. Big Chris is, he was a big guy physically. He was tall, he was heavy. He really wasn't a tough guy. He looked maybe a little mean, but he really wasn't a tough guy. But he was a good guy. We took him to a few meetings that he was in. He really wasn't, I don't think he was a heavy hitter. But he looked the part. I mean, he was scary looking. He was big physically, heavy set. But a nice guy when you met him. And we put him on the side a lot of times. We took him to a couple of meetings that were pretty heavy. And John stopped bringing him to meetings.
Another question from JB Weld. He said, did you hear of anyone named Ralphie Bones? Do you have any stories on him?
Ralphie Bones, yes. Ralphie Bones was a captain in the Gambino family. His son was a made guy too, I believe. A little bit of a lightweight. He was older, much older than me. If I got the right guy, I hope I got the right guy. But I think I do. But he was okay. Did he have a son who was a made guy in the family as well?
Throw that in the chat, JB Weld. Marshall G wants to know, why did Gotti want you to take the fall? I think he felt threatened by your fierce devotion to Cosa Nostra and would make a better boss.
I think it's very, very simple. It's really not complicated. John Gotti thought he could walk on water. He really got caught on them tapes in a very, very bad way. And I think the reality is it's as simple as he did not want to go to prison. He was dead. But that's what he sat down with a lawyer when our lawyers were thrown off, F. Lee Bailey. And in a meeting, he told F. Lee Bailey. F. Lee Bailey said, John, you can't beat the tapes. You're all over them. You're actually saying who you killed and whatever. You can't beat that. You can't beat your own voice. Jury will hear that. Maybe I could get a plea deal for all of you. And John told him in a meeting right in front of me, he said, no, I got a way I could beat the case. F. Lee Bailey told him how. He said, I'm going to throw Sammy and Frankie LaCasio under the bus, and I'm going to go free. F. Lee Bailey never came back. Years later, I was going for a facial, and Jerry Capisi called me up, and Jerry Capisi said, Sammy, are you sitting down? I said, well, I'm about to. Why? What happened? He said, I did an interview with F. Lee Bailey, and I asked him, why didn't you go back? F. Lee Bailey told Jerry Capisi that he told me that he was going to throw Sammy and Frankie LaCasio under the bus. I'm not that kind of lawyer. I pulled away. I never came back. I didn't want to take part in that. Now, Jerry Capisi is a writer of Mega Proportions. He's got an article out, and you can check these facts out, coming right from Jerry Capisi, who told me. Well, he didn't have to tell me, I was there. I knew that it happened, but he's verifying everything I said by a meeting that he had with Ralphie Bones.
Malik Irvin wants to know, if you could time travel to 1985, what would you alter? What would you change?
I really don't know, because a lot of things happened in 1985 with Paul Castellano and John Gotti and that crew, with me, with Frankie DeChico, with so many people. I don't think if it broke that way, same way, I probably would have did the same thing. I probably wouldn't have changed anything.
JB Weld is back in the super chat. He said Ralphie Bones did have a son, Pete Mosca.
Yes, and he was a made guy.
They were in the Carpenters Union.
Yep. And they were low-level guys. But, really, one was a captain, one was a made guy, but he was an old-timer. I'm really not that active with anything. I remember one meeting that they complained in a meeting that John was taking too much money. And John sat me down, I talked to them, and I said, bro, it was a union. It was carpenters. I didn't know what it was, but it was a union. And I said, bro, the union is not a candy store. It's not yours. It belongs to the family. It belongs to the boss. Before John, it belonged to Paul, right? Yeah. And before Paul, it belonged to Carlo Gambino, right? Yeah. And you shot up an end to them. Yes. Well, you got to do the same thing now with John. And he wasn't happy about it, but I told him, this is my advice to you. Shoot up a bigger envelope. You're making enough money. You're an old timer. You got your son around. Don't be greedy, bro.
J. Marie in the super chat wants to know, Sammy, who was the wisest boss and who was the best boss for business?
Not only me, but a lot of guys say Carlo Gambino was very wise, very smart, and I think that put him in a category. He was really a good guy. When I transferred from the Colombo family to the Gambino family, he left a tremendous impression on me, because when I went to his house, and he asked me, now I'm in their family, do you want, some espresso? I said yes. He had about 5 guys there, bodyguards probably. And I thought one of them would make the coffee. He got up, made the coffee, told me, do you want anisette? They showed me how to put the lemon around and gave it to me. And this was a boss. He was the boss of bosses, Carlo Gambino, no question about it. I don't think anybody argues that. To get up and do that, I left an impression on me. Tato, my guy, loved him with a passion. And they were very, very close. So I would have to say he was a great boss. He wasn't flashy. One time his son, Tommy Gambino, got him a brand new Cadillac. And they got rid of it. He had an old car. They got rid of the car, and they gave him the Cadillac. He called Tommy Gambino in a matter of days or weeks and said, get rid of this car. Get me my other car back. And they said, why? The car is beautiful. He says, I know. It's so beautiful, everybody looks at me. I don't want that. No flash. He was straight up a boss that lived by the rules, the regulations. He wasn't vicious, but yet he did a lot of work, a lot of things. Wars, if you look at the history of it. So he was capable of everything, but very fair, very open-minded. It was like dealing with your grandfather. To me, I was young, and he was a legend. Just being in the same room with him.
Steve Jackson wants to know, hey, Sammy, you seem to have never liked Jimmy Brown, the Gambino captain. Why was that, And did you not like him from the get-go, or was it just as time went on?
It was a scumbag from the beginning. I never liked him. Tato never liked him. They weren't friendly. Tato told me things why he didn't like him. He didn't like him. He didn't trust him. He didn't like him. When Sammy was killed, he played a weasel fucking part. He was a weasel. He used his position. He was a big earner because he was in charge of the garbage industries and stuff like that. And that's how he always became close to the boss, because he was a tremendous earner. But to me, as a man, he was a fucking weasel. I had a thing that happened with my ex-girlfriend, Louise. I think I told that story, but I'll say it again. We had broken up a long time ago, but we were always friends. One day, Louis Molino called me up, and her brother was killed. Louise's brother was killed. And Louis Molino called me up, and he said, Sammy, what? There's a story that Jimmy Brown went to Paul Castellano and said Louise was either an FBI agent or a cooperator. She's an informant. She's cooperating. I said, she's not no fucking FBI agent. Are you kidding? I was going out with her for years. He says, I know that, but you better get to the bottom of it. It went to Paul Castellano? Yeah. I was already dealing with Paul Castellano, so I went to Paul Castellano. And I said, Paul, did Jimmy say this? I heard things that Jimmy Brown was trying to make Louise. She worked in Tommaso's for a while, and he was trying to put the make on her. It didn't. She wouldn't budge. She wouldn't go with him. And he got mad because Mr. Big Shot, somebody refused him. So he tried to make a story to get her out. But that's a hell of a fucking story. You couldn't get killed with a story like that. And I was fuming. So when I went to Paul, he says, I heard that. I said, Paul, here's what I heard. He was trying to fuck her. She wouldn't buy it. And this scumbag, he's embarrassed. He wants to come up with a story like that. He said, don't worry about it. I says, I want to go down and talk to him. He says, okay, go ahead. I said, Paul, you know how I talk. He said, you're steaming. I said, I'm fucking on fire. Go home and talk to him. Don't worry about it. I went down, I grabbed him, and I told him, listen, you fucking lowlife. A girl refuses you, you want to put a rat label on her? I called him everything under the... Are you talking to me like that? You're fucking A right. If a fucking hair is ever touched on her fucking head, I'll kill you. I'll go talk to Paul. Go right ahead. I already talked to Paul. Go ahead. Go talk to Paul, you scummy fucking piece of shit. So if you say I like him or I don't like him, just that story alone, I want to strangle him. Then there were so many scummy fucking things he's done in his life that I know. So yes, I don't like him. Never did.
Okay, Michael Chirito in the super chat. Did John really whack Ralph Gallion without permission after he botched the hit on Carlo's nephew's kidnapper, like it was portrayed in the 96 Gotti movie?
They knew the Irish guy kidnapped this kid, Carlo's nephew. He asked for $200,000, something like that. Carlo Gambino sat down. It wasn't his kid, it was a nephew. Sat down with his family, and he said, we could pay this. It's not a lot of money. But here's what happens. If we pay him, all of our kids will become subject to become kidnapped by people. So we're not going to pay. And they killed the kid. Now, it was, I don't know the name, but the Irish guy was supposedly the guy who did it. John Gotti had just got out of prison. Neil gave him the contract. He went there with Angelo Ruggiero and another guy. Maybe it's the Galliano guy, right? John didn't know anything. The plan was he was in a bar to go in there, show him phony badges, step outside, Russ, you're under arrest. He goes out, they're not cops, they kill him. So they go in there and they do that. This Galliano guy was in the shadows, and they went right to the bar. Angelo pulled out the badge. Ruggiero. They told him to step outside. The guy looked at it, tough Irish guy, said, the fuck out of here. It's you could $3 badge. That's not even a fucking real badge. Well, fuck yourself. Instead of in front of people, it was in an open bar. Galliano steps out of the shadows and shoots him in front of everybody and kills him. And then the arrest comes. Galliano disappears. He's gone. John and Angelo got a plea deal. I think they got a 3-year deal on the murder. For the reason is that witnesses in the mob said it wasn't John Gotti or Angelo. It was Galliano. But Galliano was gone. And then I guess it was John's idea, again, to push the weight. But you can't push the weight on him because he's still alive. So that's why he disappeared. Now they could legitimately say, I didn't do it. This guy did it. There's witnesses saying it. So John was used to juggling that jury that way. That's just what he was going to do with me. And so I don't know what it did in the movie. I'm not sure which movie, who did what. But I know that's the story that happened.
Last question in the super chat. Sean Mark wants to know, Sammy, was John finished either way?
I'll be honest with you, he was finished anyway. I mean, if you hear the George Gabriel head of that squad and the agents and the lawyers and everybody, he was done. There was no fucking way he can get out of this case. Even if he would have threw me under the bus, the lawyers, it didn't matter. It's your fucking voice. He's saying, I killed him, Louis DeBono. I killed him because he didn't come in when I called. You're dead. I don't give a fuck what Sammy is or anybody else. That's you saying it. I mean, how do you beat that? You just can't. You could blame some of it on me. And this is what really, really bothered me. You couldn't beat that case if you stood on your head. F. Lee Bailey was old. You can look it up. One of the biggest lawyers in the country at that time. Looked at him like, you can't beat this case, bro. So the stupid idea about throwing me under the bus was a stupid idea anyway, when you look back at it. He couldn't beat the case, no way, no how. Yes. And you already had people and bosses who were going to kill him. Here, I'm going to give you a thing, is that there's somebody who got out of jail today. Bobby Manna with the Jersey Crew. He just got out of jail today. I've been trying to get him out for a while, but I was never able to. That crew, the Jersey Crew with Bobby Manna, had the hit on John Gotti. He went to prison for it. Nobody wanted him to live no more. Fat Andy. The Colombo family hated him. He was done. Either with a bullet in the fucking head, one, or prison. So my answer to you, he stood no chance at all. Then with me cooperating, that was the end of it. That was the end of the show. So if I wasn't on that case, if he didn't say those things, and I wouldn't have testified, he would have went to prison for life, and I would have been the boss, because there was nobody to take it away from me. So you guys could see I'm a little wound up, but I'm going to give you my old favorite thing. Adios, motherfuckers.